Welcome everyone to a casted game for Age of Empires 4, and today spawning in the south corner map, playing in blue, we've got Valdemar playing as the English. And his opponent in the north, playing in red, we've got Myriad playing as the ayyubids. Welcome everyone to Dry Arabia. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day, and we see Valdemar already moving across the map with an early man-at-arms, in fact a vanguard man-at-arms, of course, in the Dark Age moving on out. The only civilization that can actually do this, getting a man-at-arms up nice and early, you can look at to pressurize the gold. The tricky part is, of course, Valdemar has to invest in 150 wood for that. And also a pretty expensive unit, 100 food, 20 gold. And the bigger problem is that gold is at the back of the base. It's going to take that a little bit longer to get over there, and it looks like Myriad, knowing about this, going to send an extra 2 villagers to gold just to make sure he gets the 200 that he needs. Gonna go for the wood as well, nice and early for that. House of Wisdom, pulling away from food, just to make sure it doesn't die too early, or at least get pushed off for gold, which would be a problem. Valdemar setting a villager as well, maybe to get an outpost. Pretty greedy play, but he wants to do some damage nice and early. Something actually Myriad will have to try and challenge. I love this play, by the way, because he's going to try and get a counter tower, but if he does, he might lose a villager or two. He's going to commit to it, sending the villagers, and he's got a villager using the short bow as well. I don't know about that, actually. He's going to try and... I don't know. With one villager, I don't know how much damage he's actually going to get. He's got to back away, though, because it's unlikely he'll get the tower up himself, and wouldn't be surprised to see the villager back away. In fact, Myriad cancels the tower, doesn't want to invest in it too quickly. But this is a lot of idle time. This is a great play by Valdemar. Make no mistake about it. The 150 wood invested in the barracks and the food and gold in terms of man-at-arms, it feels like it's already paid for itself. Like, this is a lot of villagers to have idled. Gonna rush down an outpost. It probably will go up this time, but... Oh, man-at-arms has to back away for Valdemar. Be careful. Gonna get some damage in. And he might get one villager. He's pulling it away here, Myriad. Now, whilst he won't lose a single villager, he's lost a lot of idle time in terms of gathering resources, right? And behind this, like, the kind of crazy thing is that Valdemar should be later up to the feudal age, right? Because of the investment, but he might just not be. We'll have to see. Gonna try and get another outpost in the northern spot. Now, Myriad will see that. And this is kind of smart, right? He committed to the outpost placement, Myriad, and because he committed, he can't afford another one. And so Valdemar is going to get a position on the gold. And the reason why this is so significant, it gives me vibes of what the English had to do against the HRE, right? HRE typically often went for the castle age. It's something that you've done for a long time. It's only more recently that they've kind of played for a bit more of extended feudal age with marching drills coming in and everything. The ayyubids play in a very similar manner. They typically try and get that castle age power spike, right? Go for growth, plenty of villagers, extra food on the berries, and challenge for those relics. And so the English can try and punish that and try and deny the gold coming on in. Can try and get a second outpost here. Myriad should be able to get that a little bit quicker, having been able to get the extra wood in. And behind this, it will be the Abbey King's follow-up. Nice play, because the King get on the field quite quickly. Whilst he won't get there in time, he'll be able to put some pressure on the other side of the map as well. Our post is up and running. Does garrison inside. It's got to be careful with Valdemar. Oh, man-at-arms kind of got aggroed. Focusing on the villager for now, but villager does manage to back away. Man-at-arms very low on health now, though. Bear in mind, that man-at-arms might just head on back home. Heal on up with the Abbey of the Kings. Now, with some fascinating action in already, with that all done and dusted, it will be the House of Wisdom for the ayyubids, looking to get to that feudal age relatively soon, but of course, going to be really delayed because he has to build the House of Wisdom and then actually have to get the food to be able to take up. Either way, I would like to say a very big thank you for everyone who's been supporting the channel, whether it be on Twitch or YouTube. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There's been some great growth on the YouTube side of things, and I'd like to ask for a very cheeky favour. If you wouldn't mind, just dropping a comment in the comment section below, your favourite emoji. Drop it in there, whatever it may be. Helps me out massively on the YouTube algorithm side of things, and it's completely free for you guys, right? So, there we go. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, of course, if you do enjoy the content. I generally say, look, if you've watched maybe 3 or 4 of my casts and you enjoy them, you're probably going to want to watch more. And there's one thing I'd say is that I do stream on live on Twitch, and the reason I'm mentioning it is because I don't upload everything. So if there's a particularly good game, that's what makes it to YouTube. If there's a particularly average game, that will not make up to YouTube. And that means every game that you watch on YouTube will be pretty much a banger. At least my subjective, thought on it, or assessment on it. think if it's a decent game, it will make it. It will make it. Now, game plan wise, Myriad probably could just continue the game plan, right? Go to the castle age maybe. We shall see. Gonna go for the Master Smiths, which is actually typically what the ayyubids do up against the English, because if the English do look to be a bit more aggressive, having the blacksmith upgrades can be really powerful for the ayyubids. King pops out. He's going out and about, and looks like Valdemar gonna match the blacksmith upgrades, or at least slowly but surely, by getting his own blacksmith, and then moving on out. Scout going a little bit too close for comfort there, somewhat. Master Smiths will be coming on in, but bear in mind the ayyubids can't speed up their tech ups, right? 25 seconds, and there's no way to make that any faster. Adds in an archer range. He's really spamming out units, Valdemar. Looks a lot of pressure in the Feudal age. It's something that we haven't seen in a while, actually, for the English. We were so used to seeing the Abbey of the King's 2-town centre build. Actually, we often forget they can be pretty aggressive. Myriad, though, getting to the Feudal age at, more than 7 minutes. It's going to be a bit rough on his timings. And without a single production building, he's going to go very greedy for that castle age, I've got to say. One if Valdemar can put some pressure in, he's going to get siege engineering, so definitely looking to do so. Needs a bit more wood, though, to get the ram. Spearman gets a good first hit on the scout. Scout should be able to get away from that. King going around the back, which Myriad has to be careful about, right? It's still a couple of villages on berries, so he might actually lose 1 or 2 if he's not careful. Charge comes on in. Valdemar does get the charge away. I think he should get 1 villager out of this, because the king was in full health, right? So he won't mind getting a few hits. Oh, good body block, but he didn't quite manage it, Myriad, and he does lose a villager. First blood. After all that initial shenanigans and action, the first blood does eventually come out there for the English king. Speaking of which, wait, he's got to be careful here. He's taking arrow fire. Valdemar. Valdemar. Oh, that's unfortunate. Loses the king for free. That's actually really rough because the king could have been really useful in this push. Massive pick off there by Myriad. And he's going to go to the next stage with growth, and he's not placed a single production building. And this is going to be rough. But if you can hold on, to the castle age, he just needs a couple of units really. And it'll be okay. Valdemar targeting the gold for obvious reasons, of course. Going to the castle age is one thing, but being able to afford things is another. Snipes up 1 villager, doesn't quite get the second. Villagers come out with the torches. Longbows pop out, but once they do, they get hit by the arrow slits, right? And that's the big attention to detail in this situation, right? Myriad having arrow slits means that the villagers, he just has to focus on the villagers, right? Or it could repair it. What is he going to repair that? Repair! It doesn't repair it. Torches should take it down. Well, it could be close, though. Oh, he does get another torch damage on the ram. Ram still pretty decent health. Unfortunately, he didn't repair that, actually. Might have helped him last a bit longer there, but didn't want to lose the villagers doing so. Managed to escape with a couple. And now this ram is under pressure. 4 villagers should get the torch damage on the ram and then maybe repair. Needs 1 more volley, I think. 1 set of torches. Oh, one more. Needs a repair. It's going to be tough. I think he loses the outpost. He does, right? Repair. Oh, he just doesn't manage to keep it repaired and alive. Does go down. Big pick off there by Valdemar, because now Myriad is going to struggle at gold. He's going to have to venture out on the mid-map. That's exactly what he's going to do. Going to leave himself a little bit exposed doing so. Obviously, it's a very open area, but the problem is Valdemar can't really get over there quickly, right? It's an infantry-based army. It's not exactly particularly fast on its feet, and, well, guess what? Tell you what will be fast on its feet. Camel lancers. Oh, they're just coming back home, actually. The question is, does he think about getting... I mean, he needs gold. He's going to get market to try and get something. But villagers might be targeted with the longbows. He might pick off 1 here, Valdemar. Just about doesn't. Oh, he should actually. The villager pathing there. Oh, he doesn't. He managed to escape there, Myriad. Only just by the skin of his teeth. It's going to be a Gulam added in as well. And that's going to be tough to deal with, right? The Gulam, incredibly strong, especially with Iron Under Mesh. Spearman going to tank, but, you know, Camelot's diving on it as well. That's going to be hard to deal with Valdemar. Valdemar probably going to have to back away and think about either going to the castle edge himself or continue. I mean, he kind of has to, really, because if he keeps making units, I mean, you have to get a sizable defensive army, but other than that, if he overcommits, he'll be stuck in the Feudal Age forever. Which is, of course, not what he wants. Might potentially pick off one Gulam out of this. Charges in with the Camel Lancer. Bear in mind, actually, the English will be repairing up with the King. He might lose the King. He does lose the King for the second time in the game there, Valdemar. So might look to commit to make another. Now, the Spearman will definitely do some decent jobs against the Camel Lancers. But the Gulam is really what's the problem. And he will be making that King once again here, Valdemar. The King will return. Units just cycling on the right side, causing lots of idle time more than anything. Now bear in mind, despite having got growth, the Hybrids actually same village count as the English. Of course, Valdemar's just killed so many. 8 to be exact. But he's got a good standing army, right? He's got to be careful though, because once the Gulam numbers do start to scale, it will turn into a force that can't be beat. Not in the Feudal Age, at least. Now, no wedge rivets for Myriad makes it a little more tricky, because the Gulam with wedge rivets will be almost impossible to deal with. He does have a blacksmith, so maybe that's something he's thinking about. He needs a bit more wood to get it, though. Would love to see him actually get wedge rivets. It will be a big deal, and that's exactly what he's doing. That's going to make those Gulams super tanky. Well, those longbows will really struggle. Sending a couple of Gulam, just trying to buy himself some time, but Valdemar doesn't want to let him breathe. Sending units there again. Towards the north. Gulam will be taken down eventually. Nice thing for Valdemar is he does have access to the early man-at-arms to tank a little bit against the Gulam. Got to back away from this though. 4 Gulam will be enough to deal with this. Valdemar is retreating. But the more units he makes, the further and further away he is from a potential castle age himself. Adding in a second barracks. Now, it should actually be able to hold here, Valdemar. It's going to be a bit of a tricky one, right? It's got Spearman to tank to allow the longbows to do some damage, but with the added Camel Lancer diving on in, this is going to be definitely a big challenge. Spearman try and chase it down. This is looking a bit dicey here for Valdemar. He's trying to hold on, but again, if he takes bad trades, he's going to need to replace the army. Means it makes it a lot less likely he gets to the castle age at a good time. And bear in mind, with the ayyubids already in the castle age, I'm kind of curious to see if he does actually look to get a mosque. There it is, there's the mosque. Going to get dervishes out to pick up the relics, and that's going to really help it and boost his economy. Longbow's working well. Should be able to take on the Gulam pretty quickly. There's one gone down. The second about to fall as well. But he's being raided. Only by a Camel Lancer, but still get some good damage. Charge on in. We'll get the villager kill. Manages to ride out there as well. I thought for a second it might be snagged. He is snagged in the end. Bit unfortunate anyway. How's it going, Camion and chat? Welcome on in. Hope you're doing well, buddy. If you're thinking about what I'm talking about on YouTube, I am streaming live on Twitch these days, and today's no different. You're welcome to come and say hi. But again, Gulam numbers, I've never really been able to scale too well here for Myriad, right? He's still taking some decent trades. Like, he's still tanking heavily with those English man-at-arms, despite being, you know, Feudal Age units. Just the sheer numbers are working well for Valdemar, trying to get an outpost on the goal, but needs to try and find a way to that castle age, right? Now, with wedge rivets in play, look how much damage it does against the Gulam. Almost nothing. It's just, oh god, it's really hard, isn't it, to deal with that. Just one Gulam tanking against so many longbows. It's pretty dicey. This will buy time for the ayyubids to pick up some relics. That'll put his economy in a good spot. It does snipe our Gulam. Camelance are diving on in. Now Myriad is getting some good value, but trickling in units has meant the English have been able to hold on. At least for now. And he's slowly starting to get there though. Valdemar itching towards that castle age. The question is whether he'll go for the King's Palace or the White Tower. He could make an argument for both, but just snipe out the Dervish. The King's Palace, of course, will help him scale his economy. The White Tower will give him that extra measure of protection. I guess it depends on how strong the push is coming in from the ayyubids. Feels like Valdemar could potentially get away with the King's Palace, though. If he actually ends up getting to the castle age, because he's finding it a bit tricky at this point. He's spending more food, he needs to, I guess, in a way. He's certainly finding it difficult to deal with 2 Gulam, and it's actually causing a bit of damage in terms of idle time for Valdemar's economy. I should be expected to see another Dervish. He tried to sneak one out from the nose of Valdemar, but Valdemar spotted it. And because of that, the ayyubids actually don't have any single relic just yet. I tried to be greedy, and he got punished. The Gulam are pretty low on health. Wait, what are these guys doing? Just standing there, taking arrows. Jeez, they love pain. It looks like Valdemar. Yeah, I think he's thinking about it now. Plenty of food, plenty of gold in the bank. He must be thinking about castle age. He's got the palisade walls, and that's a great way to try and narrow the angle of attack for Myriad. And it does mean he should be in a good spot to try and get to the castle age. As long as he can defend, yeah, I mean, this is a smart move, right? Being able to get static defenses is one way to try and secure the attack up. And he's going to go with the King's Palace in the end, in the forward spot, to try and protect the gold somewhat. But this could be a bit dicey, right? Because Myriad is starting to escalate, sending units for sure. I wonder whether Myriad would look to add in a second town centre. We do see that at times from the ayyubids, but could potentially look to just be a bit more aggressive. We'll snap off a couple of villages here at least, and he does deny the tech up, or at least delays it for now. This could be tricky. Like if Myriad just keeps sending units, he won't necessarily want to commit villages here, Valdemar. We'll have to see. Just for a handful of units, we'll be delaying that tech up massively. Going around the back with a couple of Camelars charging on in. Great raiding here by Myriad, I gotta say. Hitting away those 2 Camelars does some massive damage. Valdemar's economy is so idle. 42 villages idle at this point. He's only got 50. 4/5 of his economy was idle there for quite a significant period of time. Economy is now back and up and running again, but again, Myriad continues to send units, and I think the tech up should be complete now. But this has bought time for Myriad to pick up some relics. One in the bank already, another one on the way. Gulam's tanking, but there's a good number of man-at-arms actually, so it should be okay. The tech up coming in now. Valdemar's going to have a really strong army when this gets upgraded, right? Goes for the veterancy on his longbows. It's the first thing he does, and that's going to make him a lot better at dealing with those Gulams at this point. Still not ideal, of course. You know, ideally would want crossbows, but they'll still do a job. Bear in mind, the English are in a nice spot in the sense that they've got some farms up already. The ayyubids will need a farming transition at some point. It's kind of relying on the free food on the map just for now. They give it another 5 minutes. It could be tricky for the ayyubids, right? It's going to need a hard farming transition. Got plenty of wood in the bank, to be fair, so it could slowly start to add it on in. But there comes a time where maybe Valdemar has a window of opportunity, right? Getting farms like this, slowly but surely transitioning, should mean he should be able to get units out, pumping out quite quickly. But the trouble is, for now, he's only got 8 villages on food. Has not been able to take advantage of berries or deer camps in the way that the ayyubids have. One pack of 8 farms is what's sustaining the economy for now. Looking to now get a monastery to pick up some relics of his own. Palisade's doing great work though to keep out the ayyubids. It should be a 4 relic game here for Myriad. 2 more on the way. Alright, Looks like the villagers will be venturing out to berries here for the English at some point. Just to get that food income he needs. Which he needs quite desperately at this point. Getting plenty of upgrades though. Horticulture, wheelbarrow, wedge rivets, man-at-arms, the castle age man-at-arms coming into play. And there will be a second Tanzad here for Myriad. Just to match the King's Palace, of course. The king being heavily chased, he should be able to make it back home. Running them into a trap. Gets a good couple of arrows off, but the camel lancers should be able to escape from that position. Oh, but he's heading back north. He's a bit antsy. He's a bit, spooked. Because the army is moving forward for Valdemar after all. Doesn't want to risk it. Looks like Myriad picking up a sacred site, or at least looking to do so. Get the extra bit of gold in that way. Snipes out the dervish, moving back into the middle. Now Valdemar with a good number of units still on the field. Could be start thinking about moving out potentially. Now, considering the army composition, it's a little bit tricky for Valdemar, right? Heavily infantry based. The longbow's a little bit exposed to possible Manjanic play, but the man-at-arms addition for the English is actually a unit that they love to get, right? It's a unit that's so powerful, scales super well to the late game. Especially when you think about enclosures as being an option for the English in the Imperial Age, getting passive gold generation with the farms. Means they have a great economy at sustaining man-at-arms spamming. Of course, we have to see if we get there, because we might not. If the man-at-arms decide to go a bit more aggressive and go now, it could become a problem to Manjanic being built on the field. For the ayyubids. With a good meat shield army for the ayyubids, that's going to allow the Manjanic to get maximum value. Which they might be needing to do right now. Camel Lancer's charging on in, doesn't want to take the bait. There's a decent number of spearmen there for the English after all. Snipes out one Camel Lancers. Camel Lancers do get a good charge on in. Gulam about to chase on in and tank on that front line just now. And that could be a decent fight actually for Myriad, although some reinforcements coming in for Valdemar. Valdemar trying to drag Myriad's army way out onto the map if he can. And then try and do some damage. I mean, he's really trying to lure him in. I wonder if Myriad's going to take the bait. Going to the network of castles buff here as well, Valdemar. This is not a spot that I think necessarily Myriad wants to fight in. Although those good arms will chomp through those longbows if they get up to them. He retreats behind the palisades, and I think Myriad might do well to back away from this actually. I mean, sure, he might torch through, but he would lose a lot doing so. He does back away. The right choice there, I think. Now, 25 minutes into the clock of the game. Good look to try and secure the 8,000 gold vein tiles. Or the 8,000 gold tile that are on the map. 2 of them, of course. The Manjanic itching forward, though, that does pose a bit of a problem for the English. If they deploy Myriad. Hello, there we go. About to. Itching further forward. Always a threat, for sure. Looking to get the central sacred site. And now this is a bit tricky for Valdemar, right? Has to get units out, and quickly. If he's to hold off this attack. Full Gulam play to support the Mangonel. Or Manjanic, I should say. Guess what? He's added in a third town centre in Myriad, so villager count will start to escalate. Now, granted, he's got a healthy population already. But the eco continues to expand. Oh, Camel Hunter going to ride into problems. The keep is up and running, so that gold will be safe and secure, at least for now. Adding in the spring ults, right? Giving away the information that is gone for Mangonels or Manjanic. The English possibly will look to try and get some springolds of their own. And of course, the ayyubids can build springolds of their own on the ground themselves. There's the siege workshop. He's training those springolds. One more in the queue. We might start to see a bit of a siege fight. He's going to dive on in. Potentially here, Myriad. He smells blood. And there's to be fair, there's quite a decent amount of torch damage that can come out of these golems. They've got to be careful. If they're busy torching, they might be attacked. It's a good number of ranged units. Going to pick up a couple of golems that are, you know, they kind of dived in a little bit too early there, potentially. Myriad doesn't want to take the fight. He's not fancying it. Understandably so. It's a huge army for Valdemar. The Myriad, he's been spooked. He backs away for now. That food income is looking really nice here for Valdemar. 1,600 per minute. This is a bit awkward though for Myriad, right? He had a good map position, but now all of a sudden it's being pushed back a little bit. Valdemar's feeling confident about things. Despite being 4 relics to 1, Valdemar has kept up with the gold income. Well, the Springwood numbers are actually looking really good for things. So we'll snipe out. No, it doesn't quite manage to snipe out the Magic, surprisingly though. I've got some good damage nonetheless. Myriad, he's on the retreat. Valdemar pushing on in. Quite kind of a nice tug of war match so far. All things considered. Added in that 4th Springwood. Does make it a little bit more tricky for the siege to work here for Myriad. We'll just see if he manages to make it work. Now, whilst he can build siege engines on the ground, he does also commit to a siege engine workshop. Just so he can escalate the numbers. I wonder if Valdemar, at the back of his head, has got Imperial Age on his mind. Could be very greedy. He's got a good standing army, right? So could potentially make it work. It almost feels like that, actually, Valdemar. Heading on back with a good amount of food in the bank. Although once he sees the army push out for Myriad, maybe he might start to think twice about this. Camelons are going to dive on the villager. Outpost is still there as the blueprint. Doesn't want to commit to deleting it just yet. Valdemar is going to dive on in here. Myriad with the Gulam snipes out 1 Springald, but a lot of the Springals go down for Myriad. Great micro there by the English. Takes out a lot of the siege, and now the Gulams can't get close enough. Great fight there for Valdemar, pushing this back massively. He heads forward with his own mangonel, and the outpost will look to go up in the end, I suspect. Extend out the network of castles bonus potentially. And we'll just check if it's a network of citadels. It will be network of citadels. Once it does get into play. It's going to go with the Wingard Palace in the end to get that Imperial Age, which gives him some really, really strong units. The Wingard Footman could be an option for him. We'll have to see. So Valdemar, despite being on the tech up, he's at 200 population, right? So he wants to use them or lose them. Snaps that 1 Springald, but good micro there by Myriad to pick off the siege from Valdemar. Good, I'm diving on in. Doesn't take the bait to the mangonel though. I'll tell you what though, the Hybrids are going to be an age behind. And it's going to be an age behind for a very long time. Like the House of Wisdom, it just takes as long as it takes. There's no way to quicken up the tech up, unless you go for Culture Wing, to be fair. That's always a potential. Both cheaper and faster to tech up. We could see this devolve into a sort of a siege fight, to be fair. Gulam's going to dive on in. Still a lot of long bows that could be taken apart. He's added in a couple of veteran archers himself here. Manjanik about to deploy. Does deploy. Gets a good shot on those man-at-arms. And they're pretty tanky, but still managing to do well. There's quite a few Springals out here for Myriad as well. So if he does win the siege fight, if he takes out the mangonel, his magic should be free to roam. Might lose one though. Man-at-arms went around the back and he gets a good hit. There's not enough here. Mostly ranged units have Myriad. There's not enough of a meat shield. A couple of Gulams were looking to move back to try and protect the siege, but he could lose everything here. Valdemar coming in strong with 79 military. This is not looking too good for Myriad. This could be a problem, trying to keep in that forward position on the goal vein. I don't think this is going to work. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. He has been pushed back. Valdemar coming in with a massive push. A great opening to the game. And he continued to push, but Myriad did push back for a while. But I tell you what, Valdemar comes back into the game with a clean win on Dry Arabia. I hope you guys enjoyed this cast again on YouTube. If you did, make sure you give the video a thumbs up. Take care, and see you next time.